Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. This is Berto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. Sorry for being late, but my God, there's so much happening and catching up, and the video was hanging before I could get it done, and I finally got the video done. One video today, but I really wanted to get it cut in the right places, and I did it. We did it. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Welcome aboard. Para ver qué tenemos ahora mismo, tenemos al señor AVQ bringing up the front from Brooklyn, New York. We've got Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. Welcome, Patrick. The Angry Corner Roar. How you doing, my brother? I know who you are. I don't know if you're using a pseudonym or not, so I won't call your name out. We also have para ver, ¿quién más tengo aquí? Eric is in the house. Gene Daigle from Alvin, Texas is in the house. We also have Uri Deemer. I think Uri Deemer is from Deer Park, right, Udi? On the YouTube and the Substack stereo, Egberto with some. Oh, thank you, my brother. Welcome aboard as well. We've got Stephen Spade, Bonnie Breslin, Lynette. How you doing, beautiful Lynette? Marnie, La Preciosa Marnie, the Charleston, South Carolina. How you doing? Rob Nelson. We got Lynette there. Marnie and Dolly. Is that Dolly Parton? Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for him. Eugene Daigle is in the house as well. Bruce Pollard is in Chile, Minneapolis. It's great to have all those grandkids, Bruce, that you go over there and you visit and you check out whenever you want. You fly back to Houston, you stay a little bit, then you fly back to that. That is a wonderful thing, That is a wonderful thing. Let's see who else is here. Carl Cox, 6777, is in the house as Trump aids his puppet master Putin, destroying democracy in Europe and in America. He can only destroy what we cede to him. He doesn't have the power. The president doesn't have the power to destroy, and that's what we're going to talk about. Astadian is in the house. Welcome, Astadian, as well as Hirut Kidain Mirian. Welcome aboard. Margaret Lockdown Ryan says, in from Eastern Washington, but we'll have to sign off early. Well, we will miss you when you sign off, our beautiful Margaret. Anyway, what are we going to start with today? Like I said, I'm kind of late and still pulling things together here, but I want to start, and let me see, where did I put that little piece here? I want to start with us seizing a ship in Venezuela. I think it is nuts. I want to bring up the piece here. But wait, let me see if we have I think Michael had a little screenshot there first. Let me go ahead and play his shorts before I get there. Just to be sure, let's go ahead and do that. Para ver, lo vamos a poner aquí. And we'll get the shorts. I hope you don't have any music. I'm not checking. Let's go ahead and do it now.
This is Representative Adelita Grijalva, who was pepper sprayed in an ICE raid, even though she identified herself as a member of Congress. The message could not be clearer. ICE has no regard for the rule of law. Grijalva and several aides came up on a raid at a small Mexican restaurant in Tucson, Arizona, where nearly 40 ICE agents were confronting protesters. According to her account, ICE sprayed a reporter in the face as well as 2 of her staff members, and the masked ICE agents detained at least 1 of the protesters. But in typical Trump admin fashion, a DHS spokesperson has tried to deny that Grijalva herself was pepper sprayed, even as video footage shows a canister literally exploding beneath her feet. This is not the first time that a Democratic congressperson has been attacked by ICE or federal agents. In June, Senator Alex Padilla from California was forcibly removed and thrown to the ground after interrupting Kristi Noem's news conference. In September, Democratic candidate Kat Abu-Ghazaleh in Illinois was thrown to the ground at an ICE protest in Chicago. A reminder, before this year, watching this kind of violent encounter would not be normal. But now not only are everyday citizens confronted with the violence, but our elected officials are being assaulted and gaslit by their own government.
All right, folks, this is a lawless administration, and ultimately they must pay. Again, right now, a lot cannot be done explicitly because, yes, they're in power, but you know what? They're losing power. And after I do the story on Venezuela, we will get there. But they are losing power. They will lose power. We won't stand up for this lack of democracy at all. We won't stand up for it at all. I want to give some kudos to Margaret. Here's what Margaret put in her chat. She says, Margaret Logden Ryan says, working hard on my end with media campaign, trying to reach rural communities. I support Washington Medicare for All Commission, etc. already set in motion. Yes, and I have one fair state who was actually working with them. You've seen me bring Chuck on several times. Chuck brought him on several times on the show, working on that as well in Washington, Oregon, and I believe California as well. Anyhow, folks, thank you for doing that. Margaret, that is stuff that we need so badly. Fleming, I am going to talk about the seizure of the ship in a minute. We've got to talk about that. That's a very important subject, and let me go ahead and get to that right now. I mean, we are playing with fire. We are playing with fire. Let me put that up on the screen. Um, the Trump escalates in Venezuela with illegal U.S. seizure of oil tanker. We are acting like a lawless. We are acting no different than how the Putin is acting from Russia, right? Go ahead and invade another country that didn't bother you. Go ahead and put. It is ridiculous. Check this out. The U.S. military on Wednesday seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela in the latest act of aggression against a nation that the President Donald Trump has been openly threatening for several weeks. What legal authority gives us the right to take something that is not ours? Bloomberg, which describes the move as a serious escalation in tensions between U.S. and Venezuela, reported that the seizure of the tanker by U.S. forces may make it much harder for Venezuela to export its oil, as other shippers are now likely to be more reluctant to load its cargoes. You see what they're doing? That, and then they ask, why are all these people fleeing these countries south of the border to come to the United States? Well, the United States has taken away their economies. What are the people to do? Migrate. And where to migrate? To the people who are taking away their economy. Again, the people that fail to think that our policies down south, our policies in Central America and the Caribbean has an influence on what's occurring here is pathetic. But that's not to speak about the illegality of what Donald Trump, the administration under the United States is doing by holding that, by stealing, by kidnapping. That's what it is. That is what it is. This is terrorism on the part of the United States. Bloomberg, which described the move as a serious escalation in tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela, reported that the seizure of the tanker by U.S. forces may make it much harder for Venezuela to export its oil. The seizure was described to Bloomberg by a Trump administration official as a judicial enforcement action on a stateless vessel that had been docked in Venezuela. What kind of crap is that? Shortly after the seizure occurred, Trump boasted about it during a meeting with business leaders at the White House, declaring that the tanker was the largest one ever seized. Da di da di da. Mine is bigger than yours. Do you see that? Do you see what these guys are doing? Continuing. Just foreign policy. A progressively think tank and advocacy group condemned the seizure of the tanker, describing it as an illegal U.S. move to take control of Venezuela's natural resources and strangle the economy, which is already struggling under indiscriminate U.S. sanctions, and warning that millions of civilians will be at risk if the economy deteriorates and tensions rise. They don't care about that. They don't care about how many people in Venezuela will die because of these actions without even shooting a bullet. When we tell you that Trump administration is an evil, it's an evil regime. That's what we're talking about. Because we've got a bigger ship than you do. Because we want you to give us a reason to say there's a reason we're gonna bomb you. It is very, very, very according Rudin says our foreign policy has been absolutely consistent for decades. It always been about oil and strategic interests, never about morality or democracy, and what I will add, decency. Decency. And absolutely anybody who agrees with what they're doing is a criminal as well. Okay? If you agree with what our country is doing in Latin America, you are just a criminal as the administration is right now. That is ridiculous. Continuing, the seizure of the oil tanker is just one of many aggressive maneuvers that the Trump administration has been making around Venezuela. Starting in September, the administration began a series of murders of people aboard boats in the Caribbean Sea, off the coast of Venezuela, and in the Pacific Ocean. You know, what I hope would happen is just like there are some of these boats being blown up, it would be a good thing. And I say this and I mean this. It would be a good thing if any boats that are found smuggling arms into Mexico, any boats that are found smuggling arms across the Caribbean, across the Pacific, that some other country blow them out of the water. Because you know what? Those guns that the United States is shipping across the world intentionally kill people. The armament that we are sending around the world intentionally kill people. The cocaine that capitalism has brought to the United States, the capitalism brought to the United States is something done by the choice of those purchasing the product. They are they are selectively choosing to put these substances in their bodies. When we sell arms overseas, the people receiving those bullets are not selectively requesting those bullets. They're not selectively receiving the ammunition out of the AR-7 or the AR-15s. Let's get this straight. There's a difference. Yet, if we were to attempt to blow those ships out of the water, those that are smuggling arms from the United States, what do you think the reaction of the United States government would be? What do you think the reaction of the United States government is be? You know, we like to go ahead and say they hate our freedom. That's why they don't like us. That's why they effect terrorist acts against us. They hate our freedom. We don't, nobody hates our freedom. They hate they hate that we use our freedom to go ahead and take the freedom away from them. I lived in Panama. That's my country of birth. Yo soy panameño originalmente. And watching the abuse that Panamanians were just willing to accept from the United States, to watch the brainwashing that many Panamanians have learned to simply acquiesce to the enslavement by the United States of America. It's pathetic, shameful, and the countries that don't do that, they have to then stand up to having an aircraft carrier. You know how Panama was formed, right? Panama was Colombia. I'm just showing you you want to know why a lot of people are coming from the south up here? Because of what we've done down there. Panama was Colombia up and until 1903. America asked Colombia, can we build a canal? At that point, the Lesseps and the French were trying to build a sea level canal across Colombia in Panama at the thinnest spot, and they were unsuccessful and mismanaged, etc. Well, here comes the United States wanting to build a canal, and they said, Colombia, we want to build a canal. Will you lease us the land? Colombia said, nope, we don't want to give you the land to build a canal. We have other plans. And the United States said, oh, really now? Okay. So they arranged for some people in the province of Panama, province of Colombia, to pretty much rebel. They park a ship, just like they have the aircraft carrier outside of Venezuela. They parked the ship outside Colon. Okay? And then they accepted the Declaration of Independence from, I think it was Arias and these other Colombians that wanted to separate Panama from Colombia. And then was formed the country of Panama. And then when the country of Panama got signed, they signed the Panama Canal Treaty. Not even a Panamanian signed it. It was signed by Bunavaria and I think it was De Lesseps. Oh, I can't remember all the names, but that is the formation. That's we did that sort of stuff throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. And once again, as Rodnan just said there, we're repeating it. Said it has nothing to do with honor. It has nothing to do with democracy. It has nothing to do with anything other than raw power to take the natural resources of another country. Please, folks, don't just listen to me. Look it up. But that's what we're doing here. And it's going to cost the blood of many Venezolanos, and it's going to cost the blood of many Americans. And we allow ourselves to be used like this by a corrupt government. By a corrupt government. Season a tanker. The next time you see a foreign country seize something of ours, take something of ours, let's remember who drew first blood. Let's remember who drew first blood. Agolf Twitler says, I grew up at Howard Air Force Base across the bridge from Panama City. That is across the Puente de las Americas on the other side of the canal. It would be on the western side of the canal. You're absolutely right, Agolf Twitler. All of that is gone now. That is now controlled by the Panamanian government, but of course, United States, because China built a couple of ports, they started their attempt to invade Panama again. But what can I say? This is just modus operandi. Modus operandi. Agolf Twitler says Carter gave Torrijos the Panama Canal back. Yeah, it was called the Carter Torrijos Treaty or the Torrijos Carter. I can't remember which one it was called. But he was what we call then a benevolent dictator. Omar Torrijos Herrera was his name, and he was a predecessor to uh, Manuel Antonio Noriega, Cara de Piña in Panama. All right, let's go ahead now and continue. I have a video to show you, but I need to load this baby up. Like I said, I was running a little bit behind, so I don't even have a preamble to the video. So I'm going to have to do the preamble to the video live. But let me go ahead and pull that video up. It turns out, folks, the following, right? First, let's see. Egberto, do we have 3 minutes? Yes, we do. Adam ruins everything. Has history of U.S. intervention in Panama over the canal, includes some music, but not much. Not sure if you can play. Uh, Let me take a look before I play that. Let me see what kind of. I let's see, who put this out? True TV. I better not do that because it's True TV. So they they probably have their copyright built into the system at YouTube. That's a good one though, but I won't play that. I won't play that, Radin. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and do the video. But first, let's give the preamble. America is. I don't. If you recall, a few days ago, maybe a week and a half or so ago, I said how thankful I was for Thanksgiving, not for the myth, but for a lot of good things. One of it was my daughter recovering from her stroke and working, starting to work, etc. It just made me feel that is something to be very thankful about. I was also thankful for having the PDR posse, having a whole lot of great folks that I spend at least 5 days a week with doing 2 1-hour shows with. Thankful for that. I'm thankful for the audience. I'm thankful to be able to talk to everybody and do these things. But the one other major thing that I was thankful for is that America is starting to wake up. America is starting to see Donald Trump for the fraud that he is. America is starting to see those who follow Donald Trump as either the gullible, the weak, the feeble-minded, or otherwise. And as such, they're staying away from them. And it is important because to recover this country will require us doing two things: energizing our base. But other than energizing our base, making sure that those who were gullible enough to follow the MAGA movement, the right movement, welcome them back, but make sure that they atone. And for the criminals that became part of ICE, for the criminals that became part of those harassing Americans, to make sure that we apply a scarlet letter to them and make them unemployable when this regime has been taken down. That is where we must get to. We must make sure that everybody realizes that when you put a hurting on America, like these thugs in ICE have, that this administration has, there must be a price to pay unless you atone and atone from the heart. That said, I want to show you what's happening in America and tell you our job is not done, but it has begun. Our job is not done, but it is in full force, and 2026 will begin the mass recovery. And 2028, of course, will be the conclusion of the beginning of the recovery. But listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
I've said it before. The Hispanic vote is not guaranteed. Hispanics married President Trump. They're only dating the GOP. I've been warning it. If the GOP does not deliver, we will lose the Hispanic vote all over the country. And unfortunately, it happened last night. In New Jersey and Virginia, Hispanics moved back more than 25 points to the Democratic Party. 25 points. Let's be clear, in Virginia and New Jersey, the GOP would have had a much better chance of winning if the Hispanics' vote would have stuck with the GOP. When we show up, we win. When we forget them, we lose.
That was Florida Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar, and that was her warning after the November 5th elections last month when Republicans were trounced from Virginia to New Jersey. So you can only imagine what she's thinking today after a Democrat, Eileen Higgins, became the first Democrat in nearly 30 years to become the mayor of Miami. How did that happen? Well, it turns out the Congresswoman accurately predicted the problem, which showed up last night in her own district. Republicans thought Hispanics married them, and Hispanics said, we want to date around. Mayor-elect Higgins offered the heavily Hispanic community affordability, less corruption, and compassionate immigration policies. And voters out there, well, they said yes by 19 points.
Want a strong border. We want a path to citizenship. We We don't want law-abiding people to be ejected from our country, impoverishing their family and driving our economy into ruin.
We saw the same swing in heavily Hispanic areas of New Jersey as well, but it is not just one demographic here. Democrats have a 14-point enthusiasm gap on the generic ballot, which has yielded them surprising results all over the country, including another race in Georgia last night where Democrat Eric Gissler pulled off an upset victory in a historically Republican state house district. And even in the places where the Dems are losing, they're still gaining enough to seriously worry the GOP. Take last week's result in Tennessee 7. Democrat Afton Bain lost to Republican Matt Van Epps, but she only lost by 9 points. That is a major swing in a district that went to Donald Trump by 22 points in 2024, just a year ago. New York Times columnist David French says that swing is extremely significant, and he argues it is revealing the culture clash amid the factions that make up Donald Trump's Republican Party. Quote, the depth of these Republican divisions has been obscured by two things: shared affection for Trump and shared revulsion at the left. But Trump is no longer on the ballot, and there is increased alarm over the new right. Those two factors are working together to shrink the Republican tent. And in the 7th district, we watch that tent shrink right in the middle of the Republican heartland. But, as French also warns, if the internal Republican clashes are helping to push people out of the party, it's still incumbent on Democrats to try to pull wavering Republicans and swing voters in. Larry, I'm so happy you said yes to joining us today because I want to start with you. What happened in Miami?
Well, what happened in Miami is the Democrats had a superior candidate, but much more important than that, we're seeing in Miami, in Georgia, in Virginia, New Jersey, all across the country, a reaction to Donald Trump's failures. And his failures are mainly in policy terms. That's what people are responding to. But believe it or not, at last, fissures are appearing even in the Republican coalition, and Republicans finally, at least in some cases, are expressing themselves. And there is real repulsion, just repulsion at the sorts of things that Donald Trump is saying and doing, as with that sickening, disgusting speech in Pennsylvania last night.
What was so bad about it, Larry?
Oh, God, how much time do you have? No, it's an hour, but it's a short show, and he spoke for a long time. The constant personal attacks, the nastiness, the viciousness. Yes, we've seen this all along, but he's getting worse. I mean, if it is humanly possible, he is getting worse. The lying is also increasing, doubling, tripling, quadrupling. I mean, he lies as often as he breathes. I saw something that really shocked me today, and I'm too old to get shocked by anything. But Pew Research Center came out with something they've had for many, many years, annually or more frequently than annually, trust in government. During Eisenhower and Kennedy, 80% of the American public trusted their government to do what was right all or most of the time. 80%. We've just reached an all-time low under Trump 2.0. 17%, 17% of Americans trust the government all or most of the time to do what's right.
And that is a shame. That is a shame. Only 17% trust the government. You know, again, when you don't know to run government, when you do that, that is exactly what happens. But let me tell you something that nobody said in that report. And I want all of you to listen to this and listen to this with fervor. And it goes like this, folks. Donald Trump told Texas that they must redistrict to create 5 more seats. Okay? Donald Trump told, and by the way, California counteracted by making districts some Republican districts a bit more Democratic. All right? Florida is thinking about doing the same. I believe Indiana is thinking about doing the same, though they can't come to some conclusion. And other places are doing it. Let's talk a little bit about gerrymandering and what this story that I just played have to do with it. If you notice, we have a leftward shift in the electorate. So therefore, the way Republicans thought they were going to be able to save the House was to say, if a district is plus 10, let's make the district plus 7 so that we can take a few Republicans out of those districts to make another district more Republican. So let's say you had a a plus 2 Democratic district. What you do now is you take 3% out of the Republican areas and make that a plus 2 or 3 Republican district. But here is what that means. To make that other district a plus 3 Republican district, you had to reduce the Republican district that maybe was plus 12 down to plus 9, or even lower, let's say plus 5, plus 8. Now, here is what these clowns did. Not realizing that the margins were flipping to the left and that these margins made a lot of those sure Republican districts less sure. They have made them even less sure. So whereas they thought they were going to get a plus 5 in Texas, an extra 5 districts, there is a possibility that they will lose all 5 of those districts they thought they would have gained and put other Republican districts in play. Because if you get a 12-point shift, a 13-point shift, like you got in another southern state, Tennessee, you have wiped out quite a few Republican districts. While many are seeing a plus 30, meaning a 30 district turnaround, a 30 congressperson turnaround in 2026, here is the kicker, folks. I think the gerrymandering that they've done could turn that plus 30 that Democrats would gain in 26 into a potential plus 60. And don't think plus 60 is not possible. Under Obama 2010, I believe it was, and Rudnin, verify this for me. I believe there was a net plus 60 for Republicans under Obama. It is possible. And under Obama, things were getting better. Remember, he came in after Bush cratered the economy, and we were on the steady rise with Obama. Here with Donald Trump, we are on the way down. So as that report pointed out, Americans are changing their voting mechanism or their voting propensity right now. And that is now biased towards Democrats. Expect a huge turnaround. And guess what? Voter suppression will actually get suppressed because of the volumes that we're talking about. You look at what happened in California. In a offbeat election, they got election time voting. Latinos are going out of their minds to come out and vote because they see what's happening to their cousins. They're seeing what happens to their sisters, their brothers, their friends. Be prepared. Be prepared. And what I have to tell all of our Democrats now is you must go and pick the most progressive person you can so that when we have the election in 2026 and 2028, we actually get the policies that's going to keep us there. The social policies, the health care for all, that we get the family leave, that we get the sick leave, that we get all these policies put together. But it is up to us all. It is up to us all. Agov Twitler says, during Noriega, there was a restaurant in Panama, city called La Cascada. They had their own fishing boats and shrimp farms and best. Yeah, I think that may be still around. Radin says, Egberto, that was a tea party in 2010. Yep. Republicans achieved a net gain of between 60 and 63 seats in the House of Representatives. This was described as the largest shift in House seats since the 1948 election. And that is the kind of turnaround I'm looking for. Because Donald Trump cannot fix we have what? About 10, 11 months before the election, a little less than 11 months. Donald Trump cannot fix the damage that the tariffs have done in that amount of time. There's another season of growing that's going to be screwed for the farmers. I mean, so this is irrecoverable. And what Democrats have to do is not let the I'll look at your Palestinian news in a minute, and not let the establishment Democrats tame the possibility, because that's what the establishment is going to do. The establishment Democrats will not want a humongous, big, progressive win, which is where we're heading to. They will try to block a big progressive win because the progressive win is going to hurt some of their own billionaire donors. This is time for grassroots, people. This is time for grassroots. This is time for the takeover. This is time for taking what I'm going to call the Mamdani wing of the Democratic Party and win with it. I've started to see um, Jasmine Crockett mention that. Jasmine Crockett says, in Texas, I'm going to run a Mamdani style race. And that gave me a smile. That gave me a smile. And the reason that gave me a smile is I've been saying for a long time, a populist message in rural America, by not falling for the issues, abortion, trans, gay, all of those are important issues, but don't let them centralize our message on individual issues. Economy, economy, economy. Economics, economics, economics. They bring up the trans stuff. How is that going to make your soybeans grow any taller? How is that going to open a market for your soybeans? Oh, why do you want to have this in schools? Please tell me, how is that going to give you a hospital in your rural area? Do not fall for the okey doke. Do not speak on these issues. Speak on economic values, social values, nothing else. Do what Mam Danny did. Every question you give him, he eventually flips it to an economic issue. When Bernie Sanders was talking about that, too many people decided that, well, Bernie Sanders need to do other things as well. Egberto, can you please talk about how immigrants kept from Faneuil Hall citizenship ceremony as feds crack down? Uh, wait, how immigrants kept from Faneuil Hall citizenship? I have to look that up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I'm not qualified to speak on that issue. Wasn't prepared for that specifically. If you give me a little bit of time, I will for you. All right. I need to also get to E2247 on Palestine. Let's see. E2247 says, I'm going to get up there. Test Instagram. Bear with me as I get Gaza starvation. Uh, E2247. I'm trying to get to the start. I tell you, E2247. When you put stuff up here, put in squares. This is where we start, or something like that, please, because it is helpful for me. 9,300 Gaza children of severely acute malnutrition hospitalized in October, after 14,000 were so in August. Shameful. 8,300 Gaza malnourished pregnant and breastfeeding women were hospitalized in October. Uh, UNICEF Tess Ingram says, speaking for Gaza in 98 minutes. Thank you for that. I can't play that video right now, but it's there for people to go ahead and see. Gaza starvation in July through September. 38% of Gaza pregnant women had acute malnutrition. Before October 2023, there was no discernible malnutrition in Gaza pregnant women. Shameful. U.S. still enables what happens in killing Gaza persons as well as persons in the West Bank. Yeah, and we don't talk about the West Bank much, even though a lot of killing is occurring in the West Bank. And here we go. In Gaza hospitals, I've met several newborns weighing less than 1 kilogram. Oh my God, that's less than 2 pounds. Okay. Thank you for all of that, E2247. See news of Palestine above. Okay, I just did, my brother. Thank you very much for uh, forcing me, making sure that we cover that most present story as well. Lisa Randall says, Gotta love FDR, Lynette. He knew better. Do something for the people. Now, this is up to us, people. Um, we got to share all of this that we talk about here, right? We got to share it. We got to let people know. We got to encourage people and let people know that things are, in fact, getting better and that the takeover is about to come to fruition. That we're about to take this country back, and I mean not take it back on a whisker or on a slim amount. We are about to take and blow this, you know what, down, and we have to be prepared. It's not enough to just win. We have to be ready to do something with the win, and we ought to start making our requests known so that once we get out there, we get out there running. We get out there running. As Stadium says, I'm still keeping my machete at the ready. Ni un paso atrás, dijo el señor Manuel Antonio Noriega. Bam with the machete. His machete was a golden machete, though. Folks, a machete is a special kind of sword knife that is used a lot in Latin America to cut down those long, tall grasses that have, uh, razor thin edges. Un machete. You see those guys cutting cane and all of that with the machetes, right? All right. Anybody want to call? Give me a call, 281-823-7747. I know Ledenouve is going to put that out there. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. I got 12 minutes that I can use to answer calls. I have another story, but let's see if we can get some calls in. But the other story is a political story, of course, about where we are. Let's see, Egberto, I sent you an email, but we are going to use your book in our book. Oh, thank you. Which one? And let me tell you, if you need me to zoom in, I'll be more than happy to do that with your book club at any time. I've done that before, where people have done the book club, and we sit down and they talk and they have me on the video, and anybody have questions, etc. Thank you, Jane B in North Carolina. Yeah, so let your folks know that if they want to. Thank you for the email. I haven't seen the email yet. I'll look for it, but we'll be more than happy to do that. Um, let's see what else we got here. All right, you said yes, we do. Just let's prepare a date. Lynette says that would be the cook. That would be the cook, Jane B, to have Egberto zoom in. I definitely will. I definitely will. Look, let me tell you, I tried anybody who asks me to do anything that I'm capable of doing, I will. That is what activism is all about. That is what activism is all about. Let's go to my brother Ray Brackens. Ray, come on in, sir. How you doing? Ray? Huh. Give me a call back, Ray. For some reason it dropped. For some reason it dropped. Anyway, let me just tell you that I'm not going to pull up the well, let's go ahead and pull it up. All right, Ray, how you doing, my brother Ray? Talk to me. Ray? I answered the call. Call one more time, Ray. Let's see what's going on here. And anybody else want to call? Marnie says, Egberto, you are just completely awesome. Oh, Marnie, thank you so kindly for that. Thank you so kindly for that. No, but look, let me just say this. I changed my life, Marnie. I left. I'm going to try. I hope you get in now. Let's see. All right. It looks like I answered. How you doing? Ray Brackens, talk to me. Ray? Ray, I'm here. Huh. I don't know why Ray is not talking. Somebody else calling. Let's make sure it's not my system that's screwed up. I don't think it's my system that's screwed up. I think it's working just fine. But anyhow, Let me go ahead and see if I can pull up that other article, a very important article here on para ver, a political story. All right. All right, Ray, you are on. Ray, you're on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ray? Ray, I am here with you. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but we can't hear Ray. Hey, somebody else called the number. Let's see if it's an issue with us or with Ray, because I can't hear Ray at all, and I don't think we made any changes to the phone system. So if anybody else can call, we can see if it's a Ray issue or not. So somebody else call. Let's see. Ray, can you hear me or can't you hear me? All right, I guess not. It just hung up again. All right. That is Patrick Magner. Patrick, are you there?
I'm
Patrick?
here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. Yes, I can hear you well. I got another call coming in as well. Let me go ahead and tie that in. All right. Who do I have on the calls now? Calls are merged.
You have brother Harry Dempsey here.
Okay, brother Harry Denson. And it looks like I got another person
Hey,
calling
hello,
as well.
Patrick.
Always good to hear from you.
Okay, look, it looks
Yeah,
like
good
we
to hear
have.
from you, Patrick. I'm looking forward to you talking about Chernobyl. Well,
All right,
as I wrote in the chat there just a moment ago, since Trump doesn't want Somalians here and he does not like diversity, equity, inclusion, why doesn't he go back to his ancestral land of Europe, Germany, where his an- ancestors are from? Because
let me tell you,
Europeans are not indigenous people of North America either.
Harry, let me tell you something. Okay, I always, a lot of times you would hear somebody like Donald Trump tell somebody like Elon Omar to go back where she came from, or Jasmine Crockett to go back
Yeah.
where they came from. And one of the things I think is good for what you just said is maybe that discussion should start being used. Now, let me just say this before I go on. There's another person on the call that has never called in before that I want to get to, and they come
Okay.
across as Kelly Bassnett. Kelly, are you there? Is are you? Can you
Hello.
hear me? Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. This is this is Ben in Deer Park.
Oh, okay, Ben, come on in.
Are you showing Kelly Bassnett?
Do you know that name or something?
I get so much spam from them and people sending in these requests for money and stuff like that. Pay your bill and that kind of stuff.
That's that. Well, that's what came that came across as Kelly. I think that's who you came across as. Yeah,
Wow. That's okay. All
yeah.
right.
That's
Well,
who.
that's you wanted a phone call, so I thought I'd give you one. And that's
Oh,
disturbing news. That's disturbing news that I'm coming across as that person.
well, yeah, you are. But you know what? Do you want to say anything before I jump to Patrick?
I have nothing to say politically at this moment.
Okay. Well, look. Thank you for calling in, Kelly, and you know how to call us now. All right.
All right, Ben.
Take care, buddy. All right, Patrick, your
All
statement.
right, bye.
Okay, I promise Harry tomorrow or the next day I'll discuss Chernobyl. Yesterday we talked about benefits, blue card, red card, and if you voted this
Yes.
way or you voted that way, you'll get different benefits. I
Yes.
wanted to call yesterday, but there just wasn't enough time. I told you that I got divorced about 10 years ago.
Yes.
The woman I married, I still have a lot of feelings for, as far as I'd like her to be happy and everything. But she was born into a multimillionaire family. Her father had a construction company. They built the Transco Tower, which is the tallest tower outside of
Wow.
a
Yeah. Metro area.
yeah, it's changed names a couple times. There's twin condominiums on San Felipe that he built. He's built all sorts of things. He's got a over 700-acre ranch in Palacios. He's got
Wow.
a multi-level bay house with a 1-acre workshop behind it on 4 different lots. They occupy both sides of the road. The guy has never ever in the last 30 or 40 years needed or had a hard time. But what I like to point out is when his daughter got pregnant, when she went astray, he had her sign papers saying that she was getting no assistance from them, which was a lie. And as a multimillionaire, he had his daughter go through WIC and go through all the state funded programs to help her. When he's got just multiple construction, like personal construction, heavy lifting, front loaders, all sorts of stuff. I mean, they have no want for anything. And I never ever hid. He has a picture of him shaking George W. Bush Jr.'s hand. I was never quiet about how I saw the Republican Party, and I would ask him a lot of times what his aversion to paying taxes was, because he had more money than he could spend,
Right.
And laziness or something. But as soon as his daughter not even needed it, but could cash in on these benefits, he had her do it.
You know, remember, a lot of times I speak about the wealthy and talk about it as being a disease. In other words, it's never enough. If I had unlimited means, as he seemed to have had, given the amount of land he has, the amount of construction that he did, I would definitely not force my daughter to go ahead and get public assistance. That is ridiculous. It is sad. Let me, Patrick, let me go ahead and ask. Zarnik is on the line as well. Tom, come on in and give your piece. Tom Zarnik, are you on? Okay, I guess he pulled off. But anyway, Patrick, that is. And by the way, your daughter, I mean his daughter, while the two of you were married, did he give her anything towards y'all's family unit or not?
My father's cash gift when we got married was larger than his.
Wow, yeah, wow. Okay, Tom is back. Let's go ahead and pick up Tom, and then we'll be able to. Yeah,
you
Tom,
there?
you're on. Yes, you're
You hear
here.
me now?
Come on in, Tom. Yes.
Okay, I know you only got a couple of minutes. I don't know if you're having phone trouble, but I was interested recently with the interview you did a while back with Alexander Moss on a book he wrote called Defederalized, and I wrote an article for Daily Kos about it, and I've been thinking about it. And recently, Rachel Maddow actually came out with something very interesting. Her recent program talked about what's going on with the CDC, and states are forming what they call science groups to try to overcome the recommendations of the CDC to stop vaccination,
right?
Especially with this latest thing about the hepatitis B. And
right.
I think this is something that may start snowballing, because it looks like the federal government's becoming antagonistic to the states. And it's interesting, we're going to have a flip situation where the Democrats may be going for states' rights rather than for federal programs.
I know.
It's going to be it could be the reverse of what we've been used to, because the federal government's failing, and we may have a kind of a legal civil war between the federal government and the states, especially the blue states that start saying, forget this, the EPA and consumer protection and the CDC. That's just the beginning. And I think this whole floodgate started with Dobbs, when the Supreme Court threw the abortion issue, reproductive rights, back to the states, and everything kind of blew up from that. So it's going to be interesting to watch whether this trend toward defederalization continues.
It's interesting that you brought up Alexander Moss, because I hadn't thought about that. I interviewed him way back in April. I just looked it up and said, oh, okay, the author of the book, a more perfect union, reimagining the United States as a European-style federation. Absolutely. So good get. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. Let's see if Patrick has a closer. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Tom. Patrick, do you have a closer?
Sure.
No, just to back up Tom, that a couple of states have already tossed out the idea of not paying their federal income tax or their federal taxes.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, this is getting very serious. But look, guys, thank you all for calling. All the callers that called today. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. The crazy Trump also stated yesterday that he wants people from the Scandinavian countries like Denmark and Sweden, and he lied as you were talking about the oil tanker. He first said he didn't give specifics about that, but he lied. I looked it up, that he said that there were massive drugs in that Venezuelan tanker. And we all know it's about oil, as Howard Reynolds said this morning on the morning show.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Harry. I got to get out of here. Thank you, guys.
Oh,
thank you, guys.
Take care.
Gotta go.
Have a great day.
Care. Anyway, folks, first of all, thank you for being here. Real quickly, Marnie says, sometimes people with the most are the stingiest. My uncle who recently passed was like that. He showed up at church every Sunday, but I could tell stories about how many folks he screwed over money-wise, and he probably worth $3 to $4 million. Amazing, right? Amazing. All right, folks. Remember, you can get the rest of the show at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. As well, you can also become paid subscribers. I need both myself and my good friend Marlon Weems. We're trying to reach 500 paid subscribers by like today. And you can do that. You can help us get there. The truth of the matter is, for all that we do here, my break even is about 11 to 1,200 paid subscribers, depending, because there are discounts and all that kind of stuff. I am getting close to half. Can you help get us there by becoming a paid subscriber today? It's a cup of coffee. And I know you wouldn't mind doing that. Just go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter if you have the wherewithal to do so. Remember, we are frugal here. We do the work here. We earn your trust here. That's what I absolutely try my best to do. Earn your trust, not giveaways, not any of that. Earning your trust by the work we do. Earning your trust by the work we do. Anyway, folks, again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I just dropped it in the chats. Please become a paid subscriber today. Help me get to that number. Likewise, remember, you can email me directly at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. My sister in North Carolina, I will look for that email today. And remember what I said, I mean it. I can zoom into your book club. Thank you so kindly for using our book for your book club. And others, consider doing that. That is great. It helps us out. And thank you so kindly. Anyway, got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.